Welcome to Make a Path Presents. That sounds weird. Hold on. All right. I think it's because I moved some stuff around on that wall. It's a little more echoey than I expected. Something's off. You guys let me know if you can hear me good, see me good. I think it's a little more echoey than usual, but in the middle of moving things around. Anyhow, we're going to talk about The Ones Who Live, Season 1, Episode 4. Yeah, that sounds that sounds terrible. I got this wall right here, and I think it's because of that. But I started a poll. Go down and vote down below. Let me know what you guys think about it. If you're new here, I'm going to talk for a few minutes about my first impression review, and then we're going to get into some fan feedback to see what you guys have to say. Let me just make sure the poll is up. Pop out the chat, put it on live. I don't know why it's not defaulted. It always does that default top chat. And in reality, it should default as live chat. And then if you want to pick, for whatever reason, the top chat option. Anyhow, let me see. Video and audio is good. Okay, you guys can hear me good. Sounds good to me. All right, well, I'm going to dive right into my thoughts and opinions of the episode. And then we'll get right into it, because it's definitely off now. I believe it ran 15 minutes extra. That's what people are telling me. So I see a lot of positive. You guys can go. I'm skimming it because I see a lot of positive. It looks like you guys definitely like this episode more than me. However, hold on. Because I didn't hate it. Even in the one where Rick showed his, there was it's more of like Rick's, declining mental health, his PTSD of when he talks about losing Carl again. I can see the fan base, I can see them liking that. For me, it just didn't hit as well. I see what they were going for. It just didn't hit as well. But I get it. I get what they're going for. Also, there was what was the one weird thing? Maybe it was how, Andrew Lincoln does a damn good job with the acting, but there was one moment where I was like, what does he have, like PTSD nutting? He's nutting and having PTSD flashbacks at the same time. This shit was like, what the fuck? Anyhow, so we start the episode with really bad CGI of them falling into the water. All right, whatever. So that is from the last episode. She chucks him out of the helicopter. It's a bit dumb, but I like the fact that the helicopter crashes. I'm not a big fan of, and I'm just going to run through this quick because you guys know The Walking Dead has done this a lot, where they separate and they segment the story to help with the budget and to, I don't know why. I think it's solely budget, but they seem to like this where they take characters and do these bottle episodes, and I'm not a fan of that. I'm also not a fan of the more philosophical, that's the quickest way to explain it, type of dialogue where they break down 15 different ways of how it's like meaning and subtext and blah blah blah. Now, good writing does that, but I feel like there is a way where it's forced and organic, and for me some of it was just hitting on forced. They survive the helicopter thing. They find this awesome friggin' location. Okay, maybe they found this awesome location. For me, it's just a bit stale. We're deep into the apocalypse. The next episode has this really creepy horror movie vibe. I'm digging that. I just 10 years into the apocalypse, I just don't need like clean environments, little robot vacuum cleaners that have been running. I guess the girl who was living in this area died recently. I don't know. For me, it's just like, do post-apocalyptic shit. Anyhow, but this is all small stuff. I'll let that play, and then we'll dive right back
sorry,
into it.
bedtime. I liked the Rick and Carl moment. However, some other stuff was silly. I don't understand why Rick is so against going back. Reminded me of Luke Skywalker lol. The making out as they switched seats at the end made me LOL.
Yeah, John, I'm going to break down. Thank you very much for the tip. I'm going to get to the tips deeper when we get to the fan feedback section. However, so kicking it off, the story does this overly overly deep, where they reveal some stuff, don't reveal everything. Characters don't speak as organic. I like the fact that we got right to the point with Rick having a son out there. Michonne says, lets him have it about having children out there. And he's like, oh, wait, what, children? And there's a number of points in here where their charisma works really well, especially where they're a little bit at odds, and they both stab the walker. He pulls out the knife and gets her with some blood. Maybe not so much a big fan of the blood because of how inconsistent they are, but it is what it is at this point. They've been inconsistent with it on the show for so long, it just doesn't even matter at this point. But comical wise, in the charisma, there's a number of those moments that hit and hit well. I enjoy it. I love watching these. I've always loved watching these two ever since season 3. I think they work even greater as best friends because it's just too cheap for the writers. If you don't have really strong writing, it's just too cheap to be like, and they kiss and they fuck, and then it's like, oh my God, see, they love each other. When you have characters that are best friends, and I think that's why it works so well with Daryl and Carol and early Rick and Michonne, because when you're writing that deep friendship, you have to write it. Like there's more skill in writing best friends than there is romantic couples, and we see that all the time in TV because they just switch to making it physical contact, and then the audience is like, oh, they must care about each other. So, but going back to their chemistry, though, they still have that best friend unit dynamic, which I still enjoy. Rick's his motivation, it just doesn't work for me. His dialogue, the actual written word, it's not terrible, but for me, it really misses the bluntness of it. Like they get in this area and they have an immediate concern. Okay, we got to go. They're going to come looking for us. They know where we live. Jadis is there. They take far too long pissing around about Jadis, the threat to Alexandria, and they eventually get to it. And these are the things that just drive me nuts because this should be instant. And I think older Walking Dead especially did really good with, here's the situation, here's how we need to tackle it, deal with the inner conflict of the different motivations from the characters, and move on. But it feels like current day Walking Dead does this where we want these two characters in this room the whole episode or in this building. Therefore, the conflict needs to begin and end in this 60-minute time slot. We also need the room and the welcome home to be symbolic. So we need them to come and them to go. And we need this and this and this. And overall, it just, at bits and points, it just kind of feels stale. And for me, they've far overstayed their welcome at this location. This should have been a 20-minute in the episode, in and out of this location, get to the point, carried the story to a whole new location, kept the theme, but kept it moving. And for me, I got bored location-wise pretty quickly. As far as the cons to it, or as far as the wrapping up the cons to it, there is it's a pro where we show the CRM blow up the helicopter, and that introduces the zombie threat. Oftentimes they get a little lazy with, suddenly, there's a ninja walker in the woods. This had a little bit more of a realistic threat. Michonne gets hurt. I think they even forget about it. Does her leg get crushed? I thought her leg got stabbed and crushed. But they have a threat, and here's one of the last, that I remember real quick. The last big cons or big gripes for me is, and it also reflects something they did well, where Rick is like, form a defensive maneuvering something, yada, yada, yada. And Michonne is like, what the fuck did you just say to me? I love that moment. And her quips about, you need to hug the wall. And she's like, I know this shit, that stuff I really love. And I feel like they truly dropped the ball. When she does get stuck, we should have just had at least a moment of Rick just absolutely fucking destroying shit. I feel like, if we're being blunt, if the Rick character was a female character, she would have fucking annihilated every undead, creature and showed how ultimate superwoman badass she was. And I feel like for the story and for what happened with Rick and his training and being years away, and they talk about this concept of Rick being a changed man and that's not who he is and blah blah blah, that fits so well. And I can sense they were going this way. It was like, okay, this is gonna line up and be fucking great, and they just skip over it. And that was one of the absolute biggest cons, because you got like the training and how it connects to the story. You should have seen just Rick just tearing shit up. And the reason this gets us even more excited for what's coming up is now we know Rick is an elevated threat. So when he goes up against I won't linger on it too long, but it absolutely hypes you up. Like Negan in the comic especially, he's an absolute beast. So when you see him go up against and you know there's like a heavy hitting threat, Negan goes up against it and you're like, this is going to be good because Negan is a fucking beast, you know? That I feel like they should have really went for it with Rick and his training, and then it hypes us up for what's coming. And that's if there's even more coming where they're going to utilize it, but they didn't. Anyhow, covering up some of, and this is the majority of the rest of the pros as far as them. They're covering gaps in the relationship, being separated, what's happened, and it's done by two very competent actors, and the performances and the charisma from the actors and the characters, at least for me, it kept me there. Every now and then it hits these moments that, weren't the greatest, but the actors themselves are, I think, the most magnetizing part of it. And again, these characters we've been following for fucking 10 years now. So Rick, we haven't seen in forever. So there's just that extra pull. And I am more excited now for what is coming up, especially with the atmosphere. I'm trying to look for the little trailer here. This atmosphere, I don't know if they're going to quite go for it, but this is awesome. This creepy cabin in the wood type vibe. Like this, I wish this next episode coming up is just something special, because this shit looks like it could be that creepy horror movie vibe in a zombie apocalypse. Like think of Night of the Living Dead, even Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, when you get this exciting atmospheric visuals. It's so fitting. I hope that they actually capitalize on it, and there's some sort of fan on the creative team that is like, this is our moment to give them like, classic zombie atmosphere, and their little mini Night of the Living Dead in The Walking Dead, which is fitting considering Kirkman's original pitch was to rip off Night of the Living Dead, even using the name and all that, because it wasn't there wasn't a trademark, so he could have. But anyhow, I think it's so perfect. If they don't go that direction, I'm probably going to be somewhat let down. However, that's my thoughts. I can see the fan base loving it. I see comments where fans are loving it. I get why you do. For me, it was good. It was good. I'm still not. I feel like I should lie and be like, it was great, because I have not been very interested in a lot of what The Walking Dead has been doing from season 9, 10, 11. But this, I can definitely see the upgrade in the majority of, from budget to acting to plot to, structure, this and this and this. It's definitely an upgrade, so I give them props on that. But I think just for my own personal taste, it's like the recipe is in the flavors is just off. But anyhow, I would vote it a little higher. I'm probably rocking a 7 out of 10. I just saw someone vote 6 out of 10. I see a lot of people really enjoy it. The love is at 51%. That's a little lower than I expected, to be honest. I thought this episode would be like an 80% love, and I would be in that slim majority that just liked it. With that said, though, I do want to get into some fan feedback, and I'm sure there's absolutely points that I missed. This episode especially would be the perfect type of deep dive, dissect, and showcase specifically. What about this scene? Why it was the pacing, why it was the dialogue. because I think they were so close to something. And again, it might have been amazing for you, for my personal tastes, and for some other personal tastes. I feel like they were so close to something just far more powerful. And two of the biggest cons is forcing the dialogue to wait and forcing the location to also wait. Everything's forced to wait for episode 4 because it all has to happen right here in this room, you know? And I think that's a terrible call. And I hope that they recognize that and stop doing it. Will they? No, they will not. They will never do that ever. Anyhow, let's move on to fan feedback. Let me get little bitch Rick off the screen, and it was a good performance from Andrew Lincoln. We'll do his little stubby. I think I had a picture. Hold on, I might have had a picture of Michonne. Why did I see his little hand? His little hand. Oh, you know what? There was also a moment where Rick is talking about what he did or tried to do to, like, what did it cost you? Like, no, I think it was, what did the CRM take from you? Michonne says this like 2 or 3 different times. And finally, Rick admits it was Carl. He started dreaming of Carl. And like I said, I'm sure that moved a lot of people. I can see how it's moving. I enjoy the characters opening up about, obviously, some of the legacy characters. But it just wasn't, it just wasn't, the substance wasn't strong enough for me to get emotionally connected to it. But I would have thought Rick, the first time she asks, like, what have they taken from you, or what does it cost you, however she worded it, if he just tapped his severed hand, he has the metal hand on at this point, if he just taps it as a reminder. And part of me is thinking, like, it's so organic I forget what scene, but in that scene, and it wouldn't interfere with anything else they were doing. It could, because I think he ignores her. Instead of that, he could have, like, tapped it, and she gives this look like, all right, there's some trauma here. But instead of doing that, they just wait, and when she mentions it again, he mentions Carl. And that's what I mean by, I feel like sometimes the writing is forced, where there's something that is perfectly fitting and they absolutely overlook it because there's blinders on. They want to focus on this, this ultra deep Carl and dreams and fell in love with you and keep falling in love with you. Sometimes I feel like they miss, some of the more simpler, in your face, blunt stuff that it is what it is. Anyhow, I think I was looking for an image to put on the screen. Not that one. Not Jason Voorhees. We could do Michonne. We'll do the Lovebirds. We'll put them on the screen. Let me cancel that. Let me see what the chat has to say. And you can see here, it's still at 51%. If you're here and you want to vote, go down below and vote for your thoughts and opinions on the episode. All right. So, been loving the series so far. It's well done, and they're telling a good, I'm assuming you mean story. Yeah, I think the fan base will be primarily positive, unless they butcher the ending. I think from here on out, the fan base is going to be, and even, I just got reminded, someone was like, oh God, I miss Carl so much. It's a shame. It's a shame. But there was one moment where Michonne and him were going back and forth, and I really wish she would have just said like we miss you, like something.
I really loved the
simple.
little moments of Rick and Michonne being pissy with each other. Not something we really saw before, but I agree with you on the flaws of the episode. Also excited for the next one. It does give good horror movie vibes.
Yeah, Veronica, thank you very much for the 50 bomb. And I will have to say that, like I mentioned before about them taking little snips at each other and him pulling out the knife, there's a number of moments where that works. And I think if they would have leaned into Rick's training, and it's not Michonne, doubting his capabilities or whatever, but just not really fully getting the grasp of everything he's gone through and how that has, I don't want to say upgraded, but how that has definitely changed him. Because this is a Rick before that, like, in one small example, the new Rick can fly a fucking helicopter. You know what I'm saying? And there's plenty more that he can now do with his training that he didn't do before. and there's this theme of Rick's change and how has he changed, and she doesn't like the way that they changed him. Yet they've missed so many simpler opportunities right in front of their face, and I'm like, that would have been like perfect for that little moment. Like, why are these moments not hitting? And I think it is sometimes the blinders, because they're waiting for this, ultra deep moment. So anyhow, let me put you up on the leaderboard. I do want to hit up John's comment again, but I do like, and I do wish that they keep to some degree. And I don't know how long it's going to go, but some of that, because Rick being changed and maybe more in an authority, more in a position of authority. Now he's given commands. He was a leader before, but now is like absolute authority. And that could lean into some of their, because even Rick might not even mean it, but still do it. And then she gets irritated. There's definitely room for them to play with it. And I mean, I'm there for it. I think they do, the actors themselves make those connections really well. The charisma and how they play off each other, I think it's great. It's been great since she came up on the prison fence and almost got gobbled up. What did she bring? Baby formula? Let me see here. Let me put you up here. Thank you very much, Veronica, for... I also want to do... Oh, I don't have it up. Some reason, type in stream elements, I think it's all the E's. I always like slap in an extra E. I always mess that up. So what city are they in now? I'm confused. That's definitely not Philly. Someone help me out. Well, I don't know, because they're traveling. So, and I don't try to like stick with, not stick with, but hunt down like exactly what locations. So I just naturally wait until the internet has put it together and then they say it, unless it's obvious right then and there. But I got the impression that they traveled to that outpost and it's out away from Philly, and then they were coming back. So there's somewhere in between, and it could be anywhere. Also, well, you want more people to watch, Savannah. That's a weird thing to say. You might be talking to someone else in chat. I'm going to assume, because if you're talking to me, then that would be weird. It'd be like, hey, we want the show to get as much ratings as possible. But because you liked the one episode and you didn't love the episode, you should stop watching. That is insanity. But I feel like you're talking to someone else. So I'm going to let it rock. They literally ran back to the apartment to sleep after a CRM knows area. You just know Jadis is not buying it. Well, that's another thing. Jadis, no matter what happens, even if they died in that helicopter crash, Jadis would have never believed they would. And this doesn't come up. I know Rick's mentioned something about Jadis that is like, it's like 10 feet away from that excuse. And you feel, and that's what I mean about some of the simpler moments where that definitely should have been something Rick says. He says something like it, but it's not quite. And I'm like, why didn't he just say that? Like, she's not going to buy that. Excuse me. I do have some gripes with the episode. Yes. Overall, I like it. Yes, that's accurate. Oh, you're mocking. Okay, so that was to me. Yeah, that's weird. Savannah's being weird on that one. Jay Dice let it play out. He just needs some time to recover. He's been trapped 8+ years. I don't know what you said, but it was probably not good. I think that was the point, but man, I was getting heated when Rick kept making an excuse to stay with the CRM and not go home. Yeah, now some of the excuses are absolutely logical, and that's what I mean by Rick going, listen, Jadis is there. And now we know that Michonne lost contact. And she was there for a year. Don't forget, recuperating. She did lose contact. So Michonne doesn't know. And this, a lot of people were speculating, but this confirms it. She doesn't know that they moved to Commonwealth. So, okay, fine. I think it would have been nice if we got a little more information, but it is what it is. Joseph said, great episode. The series and the two characters needed an episode just like this. I really appreciate it. Top writing and acting. The scene at the end with Carl was really emotional. Glad you liked it, Joseph. What can they possibly do in 2 episodes? I just want them all to reunite and Rick to die happy. Well, here's what's weird is it would have been cool to see the CRM and then to throw like a whole wrench in it and um, be a little subversive and have them go away from it. But the audience has been invested in years about the CRM. I mean, the CRM is just a tool, don't forget, at the end of the day, to take Rick out of the story and keep him from getting back home. That is their only, when it comes to the plot, if they were a tool, that is their only purpose, to get Rick away and to keep him away. That purpose can be modified, but for right now, that's it. Now we have 2 episodes and it's Rick getting back home. But if it's Rick getting home and it just deals with Jadis later, there's no way they will not bring up Jadis again. There's no way they will not bring up General Beale again. Like, there's so much. Now, before, they made a point of mentioning the leaders showing up at this new outpost that Rick just so happened to be a part of building and running and yada, yada, yada. So there's just, I feel like there's no fucking way that that's all in the story, but not going to come back up in episode 6, you know? So I think right now, if they were launching an attack, the main idea would be against the leaders in the finale. But who knows at this point? I feel like if they wanted to tease a season 2, then maybe Beale and Jadis and that stuff is saved for season 2. But I also feel like that would come off a bit clunky. So we'll have to see. Agree about Rick's dialogue. Rick drove me nuts in episode 2 when they reunited. Should assume you're saying Rick needs to go on a rampage. I agree with that. If Andrea hadn't killed off, would she be in this role? Or whether it was, well, Andrea was supposed to be the one that got with Rick, and I do believe for the show there was something mentioned about that was the loose plan based on the comic, because they were already together in the comic. But that could be a little, I don't know. You have to look it up, because Andrea, the actor, it was revealed that she did sign on for 8 seasons. It wasn't like she signed on for 3 seasons. Like, they talked to her about doing 8. So I'm sure there was something that long term would have flowed, and it made sense because, you know, they had that, they had early on, they had a little bit of a back and forth, and it could definitely worked with the actors, but it quickly went to shit once season 3 hit. I think the nail in the coffin was banging Shane. Once she was banging Shane, it's like, this is like going off the rails. What are we doing here? So, they didn't save the Rampa every hour for years and years, and this poor little bot does its job on the dot. Poor thing just got left behind. I don't think I know what you mean. I wish they could have done a little more dialogue about what happened after the bridge. Yes, filled it in a little. That would have been good. I would have liked some of that, filling it in. I do feel like there's a bunch of beats that were missed with the comments of other characters. Michonne mentioned Daryl and Carl was mentioned, but fuck, Negan was right there, man. Yeah, and there's a ton that they can mention. However, I wanted some, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, I wanted some, but I understand we don't need to sit here and hear the whole rundown. We want to see these characters reunite with the people, but we'll see what happens. When Rick was crying, you could see Andrew wipe his snot. He didn't want any more famous snot bubbles, like with Negan. Yeah. I didn't pick that up, actually.
I love that you're doing lives after these episodes.
That's what's up, brother. I appreciate that super chat. I thought it was okay at best. I didn't like the fact that they knew the building was sketchy and crumbling and they didn't have 1 ounce of urgency. Yeah, that's a writer's thing. When I was studying screenwriting, they would put like, they would give you an example. If something is happening, add there's a name for it, add something that accelerates the time. For example, and I think this is an example in a number of the courses they give or books. You pick up any screenwriting book and they'll give you I think it's Hitchcock did like there's a train and there's a couple examples. One is you tell the audience there's a bomb and then you don't tell the audience there's a bomb. One example is there's a train and these characters have to defuse the bomb. But guess what? The bomb is going off in 5 minutes. But guess what? The train is speeding up, and 3 minutes down the way, the train track hasn't been built yet. So you get like one timer after the next, and like the idea is to make it really intense. And in filmmaking, if you pay attention to some of those in a lot of different stories utilize that, you'll start noticing it more and more. And sometimes it'll be like, okay, they're just doing that to hype it up. And for me, that's what it felt like. The building's coming down. Normal people who aren't morons would fucking leave and talk about it later. But because the show wants you to be like, oh my God, like it's going to fall. Some of that stuff, I wish they would just knock it off. Like, we don't need a building crumbling around their head. You can simply do right on the merits of like the emotional impact of what they're discussing and the urgency that's already there with the CRM gonna investigate the crash site. That's all you need. You don't need the building coming down, because then they get out and like with seconds to spare, the building is just like behind them, and it's like, oh, okay, they went the extra mile. Anyhow, I would have had Michonne knock out Rick and tried to somehow escape with him while he's out. Who'd you think the guy in the coat from the teaser is? I don't know. I just assumed when I first saw it right away, because keep in mind, I'm not looking into any background stuff. I don't want any spoiler stuff, behind the scenes stuff. I just thought it was a random threat, like out in the woods, random threat. You got creepy zombies, a creepy stranger. Let's leave it at that. But who knows? It could be fucking Aaron. I don't know. Mad that Rick stole his fire. You know what I mean? With the one arm. Oh, imagine, and this is what is kind of silly with, well, maybe it's not silly, but imagine Rick and Aaron meet up after all these years and they go to, shake each other's hands. Ting. I mean, it's not as funny, but still, it's kind of like, which hand did Aaron? He lost his left, right? Yes, and Rick lost his right. No, Rick lost his left as well. Oh, yeah, that wouldn't even work. Anyway, possible the CRM did not know about the survivors on their flight paths, lights on, and maintain cars out front. Episode just felt really patchwork. Yeah, and that's another thing that didn't speak to me as well. Having like, oh, here's an awesome little survivor bunker, and the person living here just happened to die months ago, or a year ago. And look, the car that you jumped into just so happened to be the survivor's car. There's some of this stuff that it all kind of like ticks at the episode. It doesn't do huge damage, but I really am waiting for that day where, every scene is just, it's just thick with substance, and we don't have these shortcuts out, heavy with substance, organic dialogue, take out all that philosophical shit. When the time is right, at it, and then it's perfect. All the soldiers dying from the helicopter crash into the building felt kind of lazy. It could have been cool to see some of the survivors of the copter crew looking for them later in the episode. Yeah, I mean, I think it would have just taken longer, because then they would have reported what happened. Then the CRM would know that. So it's just easier to say, oh, they died, But I get what you're saying. When I saw the lab, I thought Dad World Beyond was going to show up. Oh, I hope not. I suspect Jadis and Thrawn will hunt them. I'm assuming so. They're in Greenwood. Michonne said the closest star. They said the city's untouched damage. No, it won't be Morgan. That'd be cool, though. I hope he had kids, because gone for years and he hadn't had sex. I don't think I understand it. I hope he had kids, because gone for... Yeah, I don't think I understand that. I understand the words, but I don't understand the context. Like, you hope who had kids? Rick? Because Rick does have kids. And what does gone for years have anything to do with... He hadn't had sex? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing like a word there, or I'm just tired and not reading it right. I'm still a hater, absolutely. never change. There's zero chance this gets wrapped up in 2 episodes unless they just go home and nothing exciting happens, which obviously won't be the case. Well, they do with this show. They are covering things that you think they would go in depth more with the quickness. Like they're just zipping through it. So, like we just had him and Michonne basically just sit here and squabble for a whole episode, and zip. They passed everything of Rick getting to the CRM. I mean, they went right to he's been there for years. So, I mean, depending on what they skip, they could skip a lot. Oh, the leaders in the summit, skip. They can show them, but they're gonna skip a lot. I feel like. Hopefully, they'll show something. Um, Can Rick not drive a manual, or were they implying he couldn't? Because I thought they were implying because of his hand, he would be shifting with the good hand, and he has that fist hand that can't grip well. That's the way I interpreted the scene when I saw it. They need to make a quick getaway. Sure, Rick can drive, and cruise along, but to make a quick getaway, zipping in and out of traffic, not traffic, but it's funny I say that now, but I remember the street was absolutely clear. There wasn't a single car on the street, but you get my point. They needed someone who can be able to handle the wheel just in case. Episode was just okay to me. Too much repetitive convos, some good, some meh, and them chilling as the building was collapsing was dumb as fuck. They make a Michonne act dumb, and it's annoying. Is it really believable that people could not have sex or like someone else after all them years apart in Rick and Michonne's case? So you're talking about, is it believable that they wouldn't find someone else to like or just bang someone? Well, I think they could have. I mean, after all that time, even if Rick was plowing through a handful of them, well, we don't have time for that, to be honest. And it doesn't even matter for the show, like as far as plot wise. But they want to ride the theme of the love story, and you could incorporate that, but they just don't have time for it. In all honesty. I thought the 2 Walker fights was decent, better than any of the rest of the action this season. Still not a lot of. I gotta stop reading these fast because I'm losing myself here. I agree. The Walker fights are good. I like some of the. What was the one? The one was like. The one was real cool. I was so ready for seeing John Locke on the show, but I have to say my fears of them wasting his talent are true so far. I keep waiting to see what his character is all about. You know what, Veronica? That's also something coming up where episode 5 is going to be primarily Rick and Michonne, and it's most likely all in this cabin. And that doesn't bode well for a lot of John Locke, because now picture, well, he's not John Locke now, but now picture General Beale. Even if he's in a good chunk of 6, like that's all you're getting. And even what if he's only in, 5 minutes of 6? Let's say he's in 5 minutes of episode 6. Everyone who's a fan of the actor, would you be like, oh man, you know what? Like, I wanted more, I would. I'm saying that already, but we'll see. Well, he could be loaded in 6, and then it's like, okay, you know what? I get it. Oh, I didn't even see Hope tipped $6. Thank you very much, Hope. I love that you're doing live streams after these episodes. I think I heard that. I must have been caught up in reading it, but thank you very much, Hope. Let me get caught up to the beginning and make sure. Going back to John Kurtz, though, he said that you like the Carl and Rick moment. The other stuff is silly. I don't understand why Rick is so against going back. I remember Luke Skywalker and making a switch seats in. Okay. Yeah. The Rick not going back, I'm mixed on it. I get why he doesn't, because protecting the community from Jadis and the CRM, they haven't sold me on it all the way. And also Rick's newfound mission, which is a lie now, because Michonne kept being like, that's a lie, you're lying to me. And then Rick is like, I just can't take losing everyone again, which is a theme that they've done before. So a little bit repetitive, but Andrew Lincoln's such a good actor. He sells it. I wasn't even that invested in the scene. And he even sold it for me. You know, I was like, this is some damn good work. Rick and Aaron can do the Spider-Man pointing meme. They should. Um, Wait, what is it? Dude, I saw the scenes from next episode and I was, yo, they brought back Beta. Fuck, Ronnie's gonna be happy, yo. Well, I mean, it's funny, but it's not Beta. But I mean, that would be crazy if Beta survived and he didn't, but if they finally used him for this, like that would be fucking awesome. Because then we can see Rick, versus the Whispers, which we missed that. And if this was their opportunity to introduce some Whispers, I would be game because it'd be like a little bit of fan service. But if it was Beta who survived all that shit and we see the new and upgraded Rick who's trained and he fucks up Beta, I'd even be more hyped. I mean, and it kind of connects to in the comic how Rick was when it came to the Whispers and that face off, but Negan kind of took some of the shine off him, but it's not Beta. Whatever. I'm really curious who this OG Walking Dead character appearing will be. Per Gimple, it's not who you'd expect. Probably Jerry. Don't fucking tell me the hooded guy is an OG Walking Dead character. Get the fuck out of here. Did Gimple say that? I'm already annoyed. We don't need no random OG It better be good. That would explain why people were saying Heath in the comments. Oh, fucking come on. What do you think about Rick and Negan reunion looks like? I mean, I think there's a lot of potential to have something interesting there, but we'll see. I'm not really connecting with the romance route they've taken, so I'm really hoping that next week's creepy horror vibe is awesome. Yeah, I'm same. When Michonne was changing her clothes, I felt something different. Maybe the same as Rick. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. TV in high brightness and bubbles, suffocating pleasure. I'm not sure what the fuck that even means. Denai directed this episode and it was good to tie to the series. She wrote it. I didn't know she directed it. She wrote the episode though, which thankfully it's not terrible. Minus I still feel like the Rick character got a absolutely overlooked, and it's hard not to see the bullshit nowadays with having women be ultra badass and kind of weaken men down and show that men can open up and cry and talk and be weak and vulnerable, like choke on it. They can, yeah, but they can still get trained and be fucking ultra. So I feel like in a way we don't see that because we're not allowed to see that on TV. And that kind of sucks when you have that type of mentality running the show. So, and I think that's in all Hollywood. I don't think that's Denai's fault. I think that's all of Hollywood currently. They're a bit under the thumb. And that's just from what we know with the people having, what's that shit? Whatever, where they talk about it and openly. I think we all know Ronnie loved to see her in only her tea. I didn't complain. Did Ronnie direct this? I wish I did. Denai didn't direct it. She just wrote it. Maybe that's what they meant. But yeah, she wrote this one. I think a movie is still the end game because there's too much to cover. We've hardly seen Beale. I think the setup for him to be the big bad and something. Here's what I'm getting worried about. We're getting this like, CRM and General Beale. Don't forget, I'm going to say it again. The CRM, their sole purpose was to get Rick away and to keep him away. The only reason we had a spinoff is because AMC knew they could milk the fuck out of the CRM and tease us with little bits of information that meant nothing. And that's partly why I got so jaded and frustrated with The Walking Dead, because they just fucking milked us for bullshit. We're going to see a little CRM. It's fucking bullshit. They just milked us the entire time so that way we can think it's going to connect to Rick somehow. Remember how many people thought, we'd see Rick in the finale of fucking World Beyond. And I was a little mean, but I was like, bro, you're dumb. You're just dumb. Like the world beyond is building up a finale for its own characters. They're not going to bring in Rick Grimes and save the day and some weird little reveal. Anyhow, um, now, so we might be thinking there's a lot gonna happen, but in reality, it might just be not so big, you know? But I do agree there could be leftover stuff for a movie, uh, definitely for more spin-offs, and how that is going to be interconnected, I'm not sure. I'm not even in the mood to make deep speculation, but I am definitely worried it's just not as in depth as we thought at first. Unfortunately, a lot of The Walking Dead has done that. I make a joke about being rough on the show and being a hater, but uh, it's just the truth. When we see them doing gimmicks, when they see them doing stupid shit like hyping something up to be like crazy world changing. Remember how world changing the fast zombies were? And we saw the three of them, That was 5 fucking years ago. They were like, guys, guess what? Newsflash, Comic-Con. Guess what? We have running zombies in The Walking Dead. 5 years later, we saw three of them. Fucking yay, They do it all the time. They just milk us all the fucking time. So I'm sorry if I gotta be a little fucking pissy bitch with a wedgie in my ass crack, whining about the truth of how they fuck us. What's that? I was thinking about that Joe Pesci. What was that? Was it My Cousin Vinny or something? It's like they fuck us in the ass. No, it was Lethal Weapon, where he's talking to Riggs and Murtaugh. He's like, you know what about the drive-through? They fuck you at the drive-through. When you get home, you realize you don't have your food and you're already fucking home. I forget all of the words except for they fuck you at the drive-through. Uh, Everyone else is like checked out. They're like, Lethal Weapon, Ronnie, come on now. This isn't 1993. I know we all been looking for a reunion, but what more can be than just a bunch of hugs? I hope it's a little more thought out and pulls. But this is it. This is you wanted a reunion. This is it. If you're talking about a reunion with his kids and stuff, you're not going to get much more than that. You know what I'm saying? That and a tease for settling down, it would probably be the best we're going to get. It's Cindy from Oceanside. That would suck. Imagine the bit. Excuse me, just risk to put him. Wait a minute. Does Rick have his? No, Judith has his Python, right? Do you think we'll see the CRM future Walking Dead shows? I think they'll keep them around. It'd be weird to drop it, but I still think they're a tool. So we'll see how far that gets them. If CRM gets dropped, it'll be a waste. I think a lot of fans would agree that would be a waste. I mean, we're invested so much. Give us something. So now they're 8 years after the bridge. Are they caught up to the end of the main show? Maybe after the Commonwealth, but before the 1 year skip at the very end. I don't know. I'm sure somebody, my brain don't even want to do that calculation, but I'm sure there's someone on the internet right now doing a timeline. I don't know what the OG was coming back. This could be good or a total misstep. Why the fuck are they always bringing, OGs back? Like, leave them. What is it, Jim? That'd be fucking hilarious, though. I would laugh though, like if he was bit, but it was like, oh, I totally forgot. It was, it was Jackie. She bit me and fucking, I don't know. She was just a mean, miserable bitch. She pretended it was a zombie bite. Who do you think the Walking Dead crossover character? Oh, damn, is there a crossover character? I don't fucking know. This is annoying. Gimple said OG character will appear at some point in the 6 episodes, not necessarily the hooded figure in the woods. Okay, all right, that's a little better. But with 2 episodes left, it's probably the hooded figure. Oh, fuck me, bro. Well, I hope the hooded... Here's the thing. If the hooded figure is just some asshole from earlier, an OG character, then damn, because that's going to suck. That's... I mean, imagine. It's Heath. Oh, okay. So fucking what? I mean, who else are they going to... It's... Who's alive from back then? It's whoever. I gotta say, my mints in my pocket sound like a diaper. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I'm like, what is that? Since when did I put a diaper on? Do you think the Walking Dead crossover character would be serious? Oh, man, I don't know. Did he really say that? Man, just thought of Andrew Lincoln and Ryan Hirsch sharing scenes together. Yeah, that'd be badass. I'm trying to think of who else was left open on the original Walking Dead. I'm so checked out of like OG characters at this point. I'm like, whatever. How do you feel about seeing Rick bust on camera? Bro, that's why I said it was like PTSD. Something was weird there. Andrew Lincoln's a great actor. Whatever that scene was like, I don't know. He was literally crying after going through an 8-year dry spell. Finally getting a taste of chocolate pudding. Oh man, you guys are wrong. If it's Heath, be disappointed. What's your ideal ending for this? And we aren't getting normie viewership back right. As of right now, we're not going to get those high levels of viewership. And as far as my ideal ending would be a reunion, especially one that involves the whole gang. You know, I want an ultimate reunion, and that way, if they want to move forward with um Daryl's out exploring, but he knows Rick and them are back home, we can knock it off with these mysteries that span years. Like, where's Rick for years? Daryl's looking for Rick. Now Carol's looking for Daryl, and I'm just sick of it. I it's like they make it more complicated than it needs to be. They found Commonwealth. They're building Commonwealth. A couple of them go on a discovery run. They get into some trouble. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Like, this way, we know Rick and them are back home. You know, they're in trouble. They can't just call Rick and them for backup and be like, hey, we're in some trouble. Come meet us, 2 hours away. So that would be my ideal. Wrap it up, but leave it open to get shit done. Jim would be the cure. That makes sense. Crossover guy could be the guy with Michonne at the boat. I forgot his name. That was Virgil, I think. I forget. I think he was Virgil in something else. He might be Virgil in this. Now, he's a really good actor, but hold on. When you guys say OG, I'm thinking of like, season 1 to 6 OG. If it's anyone on the main show, it could literally be any dumb asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's Virgil or whatever his name is, I don't give a shit. You know, unless he spikes their, remember he got Michonne high as shit. Unless he spikes their, I don't know, their stew and they're high as shit, tripping, and it's crazy. And maybe that'd be interesting. I'm sorry, I think the crossover character might be Hector from the Vatos group during season 1. Well, they're dead. Unless I'm forgetting something. The Vatos group is dead. It's canon in my eyes. It didn't air on TV only because they didn't have enough time. But the writers wrote the Vatos dead. They filmed it. They only took it out in editing because there's not enough. Greg Nicotero talked about them being dead. To me, personally, it's canon and they're dead. So they're dead. Michonne saying, I don't know if Judith is fine when she actually got shot. Oh yeah, that's right. Michonne wasn't there when I'm trying to think back now. Yeah, Michonne wasn't there when she got shot. She did get popped, but she is fine. Yeah, if the hooded figure is Morgan, but what does that do? They reunite, and now Morgan's in the story for the final episode. I mean, it'd be cool to see Morgan reunite. It would kind of be a callback to how he found them, with a hood and a mask, and he followed their trail. But him popping up out of nowhere, does that seem like it's not odd, in an uninteresting way? Could it be Morgan with his new daughter that comes back? I don't know. It's Otis. It is. Bring him back to signature terminus line of they're fucking with the wrong people back, but Michonne says it. Thoughts? Well, I don't know why. Where's this question coming from? Is this in the trailer? I mean, if they do it and they do it right, then that's fine. But I'm trying to figure out, is that in the trailer or did you just randomly decide, hey, what if they said this random line but Michonne said it? I mean, as long as they don't say messing, as long as they actually say the real line, then I'm fine with it. If they censor it, then what's the point, I don't know. Morales was done pretty cool for the most part. Wait, I don't know. Oh, you know what fucks me up, people? I gotta say this. I love you, chat. But you guys, without your punctuation, fuck me up. Is it that hard to put a period? God damn, motherfuckers. Is it that hard to put a period or a comma or something? Help your boy out. So when I'm reading, the reason the period is there is because I know when to stop. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm reading this, I don't know. Morales was done pretty cool for the most part. Period. But that's not what you wrote. You wrote this. I don't know, comma. Morales was done pretty cool for the most part. Period. Done. Because then it changes the context. Anyhow, Mind Media, I'm done. Put your fucking commas in. But I don't know who the else would even matter. The OG character will the old lady in these missing words. You guys gotta stop getting drunk and fucking messaging me, bro. The OG character will the old lady from the Vatos episode. Calling it now. So silly how they think bringing back nobodies is interesting. It's not the old lady. She dead as fuck. Yeah, John Locke is wasted. Did he specifically say a hooded character was going to be the OG? No, he said, from what people in chat are saying, he said someone in the show is going to be an OG character at some point. At least one movie would be cool. Rick's group with the Commonwealth versus Beale and CRM. That's my ultimate hope for the end of this story. The Vatos are done. I agree. Should be afraid of someone dying in the last episode. Should we be afraid? I don't think we should. This is a tricky one though, because if this is it, if they only want to film 6 and leave, then death is on the table. However, the theme and the vibe, it just doesn't feel like it fits. What imagine if Rick dies at the end of 6 episodes. The guy who went missing, the guy who's supposed to reunite with everyone, and we're going to have like this cool story, 3 movies. Imagine if they just killed him off. How many fans would be like, okay, now you're just doing stupid shit, just to be like, to have balls like old Walking Dead, but you just fucked it up. Then imagine like we just kill Michonne off. All right, that could work because she's not the character that was missing and already killed off. But then what does it do for Rick's motivation? He goes back home and now he's just as far as his motivation and the reunion with the characters and what comes after. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to explain, because if it was Rick plus another season with Michonne dead or another show with Michonne dead, there's more to it. But if you're wrapping this up with a reunion, Michonne dead, and then blah blah blah, they could do it in a way where it's like, man, that is rough, but it ends and it's sad. I just don't see them making it that deep. So I would say it's possible. I just don't see them going through with it. I just don't, because Rick's would be a bullshit thing to do. And Michonne would drag down the ending unless they did some cool dark shit. Then I'm game for that, but I just don't see it. It could be Dog. Who's my favorite character? Rick Grimes. Daryl is the reason he's there in the first place. Period. Exclamation. Question. Perfect. I think Morgan is the only one who would be somewhat interesting and impactful for the overall story. Anyone else, just a useless cameo. And here's the problem with guessing this shit. Morgan would be a very powerful character to put in here. It can't be Daryl. He's gone. Can't be Carol. He's gone. Morgan would be the most impactful. However, AMC and the writing team, creative team, Gimple, they have a really, really bad problem with taking someone small where fans would, if you don't say anything, fans would jump up and be like, holy shit, it's fucking Morales. Remember from season 1? Well, they have a bad habit of taking someone like that, hyping the fuck out of it, or even mentioning it when fans are going to go nuts and they're going to overblow it. And then when it finally happens, he gets shot in the throat with an arrow and dies in 10 seconds. You know what I'm saying? But my point though is they have this bad habit of overhyping, overselling. By the time we get it, we think, oh, it needs to be Morgan and some impactful bullshit. And here it's like, who would be one of the people from Beth's, that hospital Beth was at. Some stupid shit. Anyway, uh I feel like if Morgan shows up in the series at all, Rick is gonna die. Just feel like Rick's arc has to end with Morgan there. He can still meet up with his kids and die after. But imagine that from a viewer's perspective. Uh, Imagine the emotional roller coaster. Killing a character off can be um, interesting. I'll use that word. However, I just don't feel like they can write it in a positively interesting way. Uh, and just because you kill a character off doesn't make it a bad thing. I mean, it's the philosophy of good life, good death. You get interesting characters and you get good life, which is their story. We're here for it. But then you have the good death, which is an interesting death, and we're here for it. But I just don't feel like that would be an interesting flow for the Rick's character. Sure, they could do it. Hey, RJ, here's your dad. And then you get shot in the face. I mean, they could do it, but I just don't know if that vibe, especially in one more episode, which would be episode 6. Episode 5, they're in the woods doing shit. How do you feel about the idea about either Rick or Michonne dying? I just went over that for far too long, to be honest. People seem to think Michonne's dying because Denai said she's done after this. Well, I think if one of them has to go, Denai's fits better because of Rick's situation with him being, already dead. It just seems ridiculous, but we'll see. I think they should keep both alive, if you want my honest opinion, though. I don't have it off the top of my head idea. And normally I would just spit out, how do I want Rick Grimes' story to end out? And I would just spit out some generic. But honestly, I don't know. I want it to be something good. I would have to actually sit there and think of something interesting. I don't currently think of ideas of how I want his story to end. But it does follow some flow of the comic up until the ending. The comic ending is dumb as fuck, but up until the growing to be a leader, and maybe the concept of growing, the image of him as a leader growing bigger than him himself, kind of like the legend, and kind of Rick choosing to go away, live away from the community, let his legend carry on because he can't live up to that legend. But, he's happy with family and a little part of the community, and maybe some of the elders that are in the know even come to visit him, and some of their legacy kids come up and they have a dinner. So, what I mean? Come up with something a little more interesting, but sad, but still kind of a happy ending because he's got his family there. And that's just one idea off the top of my head that I said I wasn't going to do, but there's one. How's that? Is that a Ghostface popcorn bucket in the back? No, I got 2. Badass Uncle Path. No, it's just a Ghostface mask. If I could show you, it is. Where is it at? It's just a mask. That's it. It's on a styrofoam block, but I wanted one of those. But my area is, when it comes to certain stuff, it was slammed, and I heard you can get them online, but I just didn't even do it because I'm pretty sure it was like sold out and going for crazy prices if I remember right. But whatever. My area is great with giving posters, but if it comes to like the Ghostbusters popcorn bucket, the Scream popcorn bucket, they're never at my locations. I just don't understand it. But maybe I just don't look enough. Is that okay? Would Carl have wanted Rick to try to fix the CRM? He was the motivation for saving Negan to make a better world. Would have been interesting to this and come up to it. I think, funny enough, I think Carl would have. And I think the argument is this is somebody that will always eventually be our threat. Like the CRM is so big at this point that they're only getting bigger, and they will one day, at this point, rule over us no matter what we do. And that's why I get a little frustrated why they go deep with this substance that they're trying to do, and they don't just say the obvious. Like Rick keeps saying it, like, you don't understand how big they are, you don't understand how dangerous this is. But he doesn't just say like, no, you just don't fucking get it. They are so big. They might not be ruling over us and threatening us next month. I mean, with Jada's dead even. Um, but no matter what, they will eventually come for our land, our people. This is inevitable. There's that aspect fucking works for me. Anyhow, I want to see Morgan on the show. All the hype for what? Just for Rick to get laid? He got laid like a fucking like a fucking what's that? I was gonna say something funny, but I lost the plot. It had something to do with being stoned and during prom or something. Let's see Morgan on a show. Andrew Lincoln said the show is like putting on a bow with but he said some questionable things in other interviews, leading to a definite uh, ending to a love story. And that's also what I mean about, and this is why I started to like loathe speculation, just because we could sit here forever and it honestly doesn't matter. But also the actors and the writers, they always hype things up because they're living it. They work here. This is their friends and their family. And like for them, when they sit there and discuss the theme of the episodes and the theme of the season, like they've got the theme and the vibe flowing through their life. So it hits different for them. So when they mention it for us, it's something that they've spent 17 hours on and we saw it in 60 seconds, a specific scene or a moment. So for them, it hits different. So when they talk about like the definitive end of love stories, we have to be careful because it could literally be like this is the end of their love story, but not even close to the end of their story. You get what I'm saying? Like, so that's why I just, because I see it all the time where certain things get hyped up and we can see afterwards how they meant, like, oh, I see here, here, and here. But we have no worries because this continues and blah 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 blah, or it goes in a totally different direction. So for me, I'm like, I don't, I'm not altogether worried. I'm more worried about them, the actors actually doing it. You know what I'm saying? Than I am, not that, but the actors actually wanting to be in more stuff than I am worried about them dying in the show. You know what I'm saying? Gimple really did Carl dirty. He wrote him off to propel Rick's story forward. I don't believe that at all. And is milking that concept and using flashbacks. They should bring him for a dream scene. I think it would have been cool to actually bring the actor in for a scene. You know what I'm saying? And I hope they still do in a way. Something simple. But anyhow, I I don't know why I felt necessary to throw my opinion out there, but you're right. Gimple did use Carl's death to propel, but for anyone new here, I don't believe they did that. I believe that with Rick leaving, that Carl would be the legacy character, and the crew just didn't have faith. The creative team or the shot callers didn't have faith in the actor carrying that weight, and they let him go so that way he doesn't have to, and they can push the weight onto Daryl Dixon and then Judith, because she's small enough to where small enough, new enough to where it's not the same type of weight. Carl is like the definitive, he's the heir to the throne, and it wouldn't work out the same. Anyhow, really enjoying the live streams every week. Just wish you could be a little more active on the channel. Oh, that's coming up. Do you have any news for Doomsday Kingdom? I'm focusing for this summer. So this summer, stay tuned for more stuff. My game plan is, and I say this each week, I'm working towards the summer to get, first thing first, I want to get anything that's stock wise. I want to get it refreshed. Old stock, new stock. We still have a couple people waiting for signature stuff. This summer, I'm doing everything, investing in it, so it's all stocked. Damn. And then I haven't even talked to the artist about something yet, so I want to talk to him before I mention it to you guys, because there's other things going on with not even comic related. So this summer I want to start that. Now when it comes to more stuff on the channel, right now I'm uploading on Flaw vs. All, and this week I was going to do the Halloween the Scream news, and a couple other things of news. I pushed that to this week because I have something coming up tomorrow I'll be able to record. So this week, actually, it'll be, I might put it up early, but it should be Tuesday is the Halloween video. Let's say Thursday is the Scream. And following that, there should be a couple videos posting each week as well as the each Sunday. And this is something for anyone who missed it, was planned at the end of last year when I was getting into a new job. Now I'm settled in the new job. So right now I'm just working on the time I'm not at my job. I work an actual 9 to 5. When I'm not there, I'm restructuring my time to do some of the stuff that I've been wanting to do for 10 years now. So stay tuned. I know in the past I'd be like, stay tuned, but I've made so many changes to try to keep making content, but this is different because I no longer need revenue from the channel in order for the rent. Before I went full time and I needed it, so I needed to make stuff, and the stuff I was making wasn't, benefiting the channel. It was just stuff to feed the algorithm. So for right now, I'm only making stuff that that benefits the channel and that I'm interested in. Like, I still love The Walking Dead. I still want to talk about it. So that's a real quick update. All right. We are going to be shutting this down soon. We hit our hour mark. Let's see the poll. I'll let you guys vote. Anyone else that's new, go ahead and vote on the poll. It looks like the poll is surprisingly holding strong. That just over 50% has loved the episode since the very beginning we did the poll. And that was, now we had 200 more people vote, and it's staying strong around that 53. So, and that's really good because that's 75% positive. And here's what's funny. Wait, you know what's funny? Check this out. So I gave the episode a 7 out of 10. Now I breeze through the points that I like because it's easier to mention the points that are positive. But when I mention something that's negative, I don't like to just mention it. I like to break it down so that way definitively. I'm not just saying, oh, that's bad or that's stupid and move on. I'm definitively giving you an actual reason why I didn't vibe with it. Anyhow, so I rated the show a 7 out of 10. Now that the polling has been coming in and the community has rated the episode, if you take the polling, you guys can see it on screen. I'll move it over. Now that and don't forget, there was only 3 people in chat who claimed I was a hater and I should stop watching the show. I think there was only 2 of them. I was honest about my opinion. I liked the episode. I didn't love it. I even said I think the majority of fans would love it though. However, look at the numbers. There's 70? No, that's 80. That would be 80. That'd be 81. 81% is positive. So I gave it a 7 out of 10. 81%, if you break that down, would be an 8 out of 10. It's almost on the money with what I got it. But because I didn't sit here and just say I loved it, we got 2 weirdos in chat being like, you're just a hater. Like, that's fucking weird. It's never not going to be weird, Anyhow, I would make more money, viewership, the community wise, if I just fake loved it. And I still see that in the community. I've seen it since I started making YouTube videos. It's known. People who make videos talk about it. If you fake love it or you're more positive, your numbers stay stronger because people love the recognition. It's harder to hear the differences because a lot of people feed into the ego of the thing, which is, well, I loved it, you didn't. Does that mean I'm an idiot? And that's not true. That's just not how it is. But some people, they honestly feel that way, which is dumb. It's not. That's just not how it is. People have different tastes. It's not a right or wrong. It's not a dumb or smart. It's just different tastes. Anyhow, back to our breakdown. My bad, Uncle Ronnie. The link won't let me send it to you, but it's Cinemark Shop. I'll look it up. That's all right. That's all right. Because YouTube is making sure people aren't throwing a bunch of scam links. So let me look it up. I'm sorry. Cinemark Shop. Let's see if they still have that. What happened here? Oh, there it is. Give me 1 second, chat. I need to pop a mint in. My mouth is dry as hell. Cinemark shop. Oh, they get a jigsaw one too. Let me show you guys. So they got a jigsaw. It won't let me click on it though. Oh, that's cool. Let me see what this is. They got Godzilla and King Kong. Oh, it's the cup toppers. I was wondering why. I was like, why is there little figures on there? They got a Ecto-1, but what is it though? It's a popcorn container. Okay. Pre-order in August. I wonder if they have old stuff here though. Merch. Where's what's the Frozen Empire? Is this the Slimer popcorn? No. Maybe that wasn't Cinemark. Am I missing it? Transformers of Flash, Beatles, saw it's probably sold out now. Because I don't see Ghostface. Never mind. Have you seen the new Ghostface Takes Manhattan NECA figure? Yes, I actually have one of those. I wanted a Ghostface, like a NECA version, because I have Jason, Freddy, Leatherface, like all the slashers that they've made. So, on my shelf, you got all the slashers, but I wanted Ghostface. They made a Ghostface. I didn't like the original release. I thought the original release was okay, but his face just wasn't clean enough. I did get it though. In his robe, the worst part is his robe doesn't go down all the way. It goes like to under his knees, and that's just not right. It doesn't look good. So when they did the Ghostface Takes Manhattan, I grew up when Jason Takes Manhattan was promoting like crazy on TV, pizza shops. Like there was posters. They were running the trailers on the commercials all the time. So Jason Takes Manhattan was like it's just the poster, the whatever. It's a big nostalgia trip for me, even though I don't love the actual movie a lot. But so they took the picture of I Love New York and they made a mock of that with Ghostface, and it's Ghostface Takes Manhattan. Now that picture back then, they got sued. New York sued them and said you can't do the I Love New York. That's the backstory behind that, and I'll cut it really short. Being a big fan of it, having it nostalgic to me, and NECA making the box, the poster that was that they sued, so they would stop using it for promotions. I think that's the story. I had to get it, so I did get it. I didn't even take it out of the box. That's one where when I have my office set up, it'll just be in the box. And unfortunately, that one also, the robe sits perfect, so I might have to grab another one. It depends. They did another Walmart Ghostface in Inferno, I think it's called, and I have him coming. So if the robe goes all the way down, the inbox one can stay that. I like to display them though. That's far too long of an explanation, probably. Anyone else vote? All right, get your last votes in. The poll is going to be shut down in about 1 minute. And sorry for munching on a mint while I'm on stream. My fucking cotton mouth like crazy. And no, I wasn't even smoking any weed. Everyone can have their own opinions, and that's fine. But I don't see how so many people were saying this episode is a masterpiece. Bro, that shit got me fucking bugging. I agree. One of the best Walking Dead universe episodes ever. Like, come on. Here's another thing I'll say. I heard a week ago, or maybe 4 days ago, people that saw the episode early said it was one of the greatest episodes in the Walking Dead history of the franchise. And you know what? Honestly, if I think back on it, it is definitely one of the stronger ones. So maybe that's part of the new episode overhypeness. Because when I'm 20 minutes in, I'm sitting here thinking like, man, this is awfully, it's awfully not, not a lot of substance for the one of the greatest episodes in the fucking franchise. And then 30 minutes in, 35 minutes in, I'm thinking the same thing. Like, when is that gonna hit? And then it's just gonna be a home run. So for me, I did think some of it got overhyped, because by the end I was like, the fuck were people talking about? However, if you think about how weak, a lot of the episodes in the last few seasons have been, I cut them some slack, but some of the comments I heard where, like, this is probably one of the greatest episodes, and I don't know, man. That shit just has me bugging. I don't know. Gimple teased the second season, but he walked it back. Yeah, that's like the second time he's done that. That's a little frustrating. I hate how the spin-offs, not this one, don't progress the story at all to the end game AMC wants to do. I agree, and that's another problem why I had an issue with the CRM to begin with, because you would have the CRM in the World Beyond, but it didn't do shit, didn't mean shit, it didn't progress shit. Oh wow, we saw Omaha. Like, think about it. These little bits that they put from the World Beyond to the show, Rick saw a program where they killed people in Omaha. All right, whatever. I mean, it's, you understand it, the connective tissue, but the substance is so meaningless. It's almost pointless having to sit through the World Beyond just for that shit, a mention of it, I should put this up because I took the I'm starting to get hot in here, so if the thing goes off, I might not hear it. We'll see. Anyhow, Shiva's long gone, brother. Agreed about the interviews, Ronnie. It does hit different. Their experience is different. Andy can't even remember a lot of the past episodes, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, and try to remember too, a lot of the stuff for them, like, we see the whole episode and they have the moments that they acted in, but a lot of times, like, for example, if it's Michonne's face and you see Andy's shoulder, there's a lot of times where it's most likely not Andy. I'm sure, they work off each other, and it's a closer filming group, so there's probably a lot of times where it is, but a few times where it is, but for most of the time, they're just not, they just don't absorb the amount of, and the way we absorb it, they absorb it differently. So when it comes to certain things like that, they're not, most of the time. Sometimes they could be learning the editing, but they're not in the editing room. They're not into this. They're not into that. So they might get it. Some are, don't get me wrong, but they might not. It just doesn't stick with them like it does for us. It hits different. What if the OG is the chick fear that took the videotapes? I forgot her name. Oh, and that's the thing, though. Who gives a shit about her? Besides, they said OG from the show, not from Fear, right? You should check out From. I saw that. What was that? On, I think I started it and I lost interest, but I'm not going to go back to it. I'll be honest. Is it really fire? Because I did start that. It's the guy from Lost was in it. I think I watched 20 minutes and checked out. If it's like legit worth it. You know what I did check out though? It's called Dark Harvest. And this sucks because Dark Harvest, I'm like an hour in, and I'm like, a movie I watched randomly, just turned it on. Oh, it's supposed to be a horror, kind of horror movie. Uh Atmospheric horror, I'm gonna call it, because it's not truly like horror, but it's got a kick-ass monster look to it. It's the real pumpkin head. You know how the pumpkin head doesn't really look like a pumpkin head? This is the real pumpkin head. He actually looks like a pumpkin head. The creature design is cool, and some of the shit that they do and the way they film it is awesome. Like, he goes into a storm cellar, and you see like his fucked up back, and he just glides down the cellar, and it's filled with kids that he's hunting, and then in slow motion blood just gushes. It reminds me of Nightmare on Elm Street, where Johnny Depp gets sucked into the bed and blood gushes out. Well, it's the cellar storm doors, blood slow motion goes gushing out of the storm doors. And I'm actually loving some of the shit that they're doing in Dark Harvest. Well, the ending is so fucking stupid. It's a waste. I'm annoyed I wasted my time. I was gonna hype the shit out of it and be like, yo, this is something that I just randomly turned on, and it's actually really good. The creature is awesome. Some of the stuff that they filmed is awesome. The plot is serviceable, but again, you don't need like crazy complicated plot for these types of movies. You want to have fun with the horror elements. Anyhow, the very end is just so incredibly stupid that I just, from here on out, I'm just like, whatever, forget it. But that's a shame. Until they make a show about all the kids killing Rick off in any way would kill any and all buzz about any show in this universe. We love lots of characters, but Rick is the show. Oh, all right. See, again, Stormy, you fuckers not using periods. This is the way it's supposed to be read. Until they make a show about all the kids, period. Fucking period. Killing Rick off in any way, there should have been a comma too. Killing Rick off, comma, in any way, comma, would kill any and all buzz about any show in this universe. I agree. And you know what? I'm not in a hurry for them to do anything with the kids at this point. All right, let's read these comments because I'm going to get this shut down. Final battle can take a long time. What are your thoughts on the Gremlin movies? Do you love it as much as I do? Did you do any reviews of them? I do love the Gremlin movies. I grew up on them. I actually have a bunch of NECA Gremlins that one day I want to have a little corner of the room that's just like, those creatures feel like the perfect corner decoration. So I have the Bat Gremlin, the Spider Gremlin, the Greta Gremlin. I have the Brain, a few random Gremlins, and the Carol Gremlins. I believe, if I remember right, Princess Pie a while ago sent a gift package with a couple Gremlins. I fucking really appreciate it still to this day. The Mohawk Gremlin. Anyhow, I love the Gremlins. Did I review? I don't think I reviewed them officially, but they are on my bucket list to do a Flaw vs. All review. But because it's just 2 movies, I should be able to do that. It's not like a massive franchise. After seeing that this show is very drama heavy, you can hardly fault The Last of Us show for being the same. Neither has too many zombies. No, I could fault The Last of Us. The Last of Us, it absolutely ditches any and all zombies whatsoever, infected. The Last of Us not only ditches that, but they ditch a lot of the elements where the characters come together. Like Ellie's, a part of you loving Ellie in the game is when she meets Bill, totally cut out of the game. That's one of the moments where you absolutely fall in love with Ellie as a character. A part of you growing an attachment to Ellie as a character, and it's crafted well, is how she interacts with you, and it feels so organic in a fucking video game, but also helps you. That's trimmed and almost non-existent in the show. So I will still shit on Last of Us TV show. It's garbage. I completely disagree with you. Finally, I love the actor's performance. I also love the actor's performance, but I also overlooked a lot of the finer details. Wait, I think I'm lost here. Wait, I completely disagree with you. Period, maybe? Finally, I loved the actor's performance. Well, here's one thing I did mention. I'm not sure where we disagreed. Maybe you loved the episode and I liked it. I love the performances. I said it multiple times. Both actors are amazing. They're charismatic. Their performances are one of the most magnetic part of watching the episode. I don't know if I get what you're saying here though, but I also overlooked a lot of finer details. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Like, yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. Really wish they would incorporate zombies more. Agreed. This episode was dragged out, but also the dialogue was better than it would have been if they did it previously. I will give some credit to Deny. F me. Well, I also think that them mentioning RJ early on in this episode and the way they did it, it's a lot better than I gave them credit for, because I expected them to like really hold out until the end and do something really over dramatic. The way they did it in this episode worked. It absolutely worked. She got mad. She said children. It's natural to her. And then he picked up on it like, what the fuck? you know? F me, I forgot to have the episode watched so I can enjoy the stream. I'll watch stream anyway. Thank you very much, Captain Deadpool. Are you extremely disappointed with this specific episode? Am I extremely disappointed? No. Could I, because I didn't love it, am I probably slightly disappointed? Yeah, because I didn't love it. I liked it though. I think season 2 of Dead City has a lot of potential. Imagine Negan getting power. I think it has a lot of potential, but we'll see, because I was not impressed with season 1. What's your thoughts on the new Crow movie? Nothing beats my man. How crazy is this? I have this sitting right here. Nothing beats my man Brandon Lee. I mean, look at this. And you don't just have a Crow, VHS. You got to have rapid fire, because if anyone is anybody from back in the day, the good old 90s, 92. If you were a fan of Brandon Lee, there was 2 movies you absolutely had. The Crow and fucking Rapid Fire. He kicks ass in this. If you haven't seen Rapid Fire, correct that shit. I was going to say, how funny if I opened it and it's a different movie. But yeah. Are you really a fan of The Crow if you haven't seen Rapid Fire? That makes no sense. But I'm not kidding. If you are a Brandon Lee fan or a fan of The Crow, it's worth it to check it out. I was going to say something clever, but go check it out. As far as the new Crow, I am not sold on this at all. Everything I hear about it sounds stupid as fuck. Like, how many times do we get where a filmmaker think it's edgy or cool or smart or clever to wait until the very last 5 minutes of the movie to have the character look like the character that we know and love? And they said that in an interview. The guy was like, yeah, he doesn't really transform until the Crow, until the end of the final act. And it's like, fuck off. How about that? Because I don't want to wait the entire movie and see the monster in the last 2 minutes. I don't want to wait until the whole movie to see the end credits where someone finally puts on the spider suit. Go fuck yourself, So I like the actor, Bill Skarsgård. I said it wrong? A lot. The CGI blood is fucking horrendous. The look he has, the emo, edgy, that's lame as shit, but it could work. It could work. I give them, I'm holding out hope. Some of the stuff sounds dumb, like he's saving her soul. She's fucking dead. This is the Crow. He's coming back to get revenge. She's fucking dead, bro. So I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna see it in theaters. I really hope it's awesome, because I love the Crow. I actually have the Crow 30th anniversary steelbook on pre-order. I'm gonna buy one. My brother's gonna buy the other. They have 2 steelbooks, totally different artwork. That we're each gonna get one or the other. Not that it matters, but but I can't wait to watch The Crow in 4K. the original Crow, the good Crow, and then we'll see what happens with the new Crow. Caw. Really wish they would incorporate. Okay, we already did that. Where am I? Good night, Ronnie. Good night. Wait, who the fuck's that? Okay, AP, get out of the stream elements. I don't even know why I allow this shit. I think I when I had it set up, I think I let mods or are you a mod on this channel? You are a standard mod. How did I let you get a mod on this channel, bro? Third grade English and punctuation. Last of Us, multiple cut action moments were so important for characters and growing to bond, like Ellie hopping on homie's back, saving you, and chucking bricks and shit. Yeah, a lot of those moments are gone, and it's a shame. Rapid fire is fire. Facts. Some movies just should never be remade. Also facts. Something broke. What broke? I dropped something. Also, you said them barely running into infected makes the whole cure needing thing come off as way less important, like cure the world of 10 infected. Yeah, I still stand by that. You know, it when you play the game and the infected are the world, a cure is like a big deal. But when you watch the show and you run into a clicker in the museum and a bloater on the street, who gives a fuck? Like the people that are dead, but it's barely an inconvenience, you know? Ronnie, you really still use VHS tapes in the garage, but no, I personally, I want a handful. My main VHS tapes are a horror. I want horror because I want to make a mock rental store shelf with some of my favorite, absolute favorite movies in VHS tapes. But I want the shelf to be horror and sci-fi, and you know, have a few spillovers like Lethal Weapon, Rapid Fire, Green Mile, blah blah blah. So I want a small corner with the VHS tapes. However, I used to watch them in my garage, but I've changed my mind a little. With we only have one life to live, so the movies that are only on VHS tape, which I only have like two or three, I will watch those on VHS. The rest of the movies I am only watching in the best, 4K quality or Blu-ray at the very least. Never in my life, unless I have to, am I going to watch a DVD because that quality sucks. That's where I stand. So yeah, I have them. I want to have like and I found them for like 50 cents. Don't forget. Like I found a box of VHS tapes for like $3. This might actually be my copy from when I was younger. I still have like 10 VHS that were always my copy. This might be because I saved all my Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee stuff. That might actually be my copy when I was young, but the other VHS tapes I bought a whole box for like $3. I find them for like 25 cents. So even if I grab a stack of them, and it's not a huge investment, it's barely an inconvenience. The Crow, Roadhouse, Red Dawn, just my opinion, should never have been remade. Probably not. We'll see about. I heard Roadhouse is damn good though. We'll see. Showdown at Little Tokyo is good. I haven't seen that since I was like 13 though. I can't wait to watch that again. I hate how they did the whole Negan King of New York thing. It was horribly done. Negan is forced to be a big bad guy now, or else actress lady gonna cut off more of Herschel's toes. We'll see. I wasn't thrilled with Dead City. I think season 2 has the most potential, but we'll see. Joker pulled off the final act thing well, but that was such a established character, and the entire plot is about how he became the Joker. Can't see it working for the Crow. I will disagree though, Captain Deadpool. Joker had a multiple look spiral that worked great. But that's what I mean though. They didn't wait until the very end of the movie, and then Joker gets on the car and then he is wearing the Joker face. He wears different versions of the Joker look multiple times. And for me, that's acceptable. You don't have to have like the final look throughout the entirety of the movie as long as you have like the essence of it. Like, but what they do with the crow, where it's like a little bit of black around his eyes, it's not cutting it. It just doesn't cut it. There was one where he had like these little lines and a little bit here, and I'm like, what are you doing? But for Joker, for a good chunk of the movie, he's got I think two different times with the his his comedian look, but then he has the Joker look. But even the final look is where he does the blood on the face, and that is like the ultimate. Uh, it's not the final look, but it is like an ultimate. Um, That's a good word where it blends into the plot and the arc of the character, where it just gives him this flair. So, but that's the Joker. But I do see what you mean. They did wait a long time for the red suit and the yada yada yada, but it's not like that very end of the movie type. But I see what you mean. Did I watch House of the Dragon? Yes, and I liked it a lot. A lot. Yo, Ronnie, how have you been? I'm chilling, Ian. I'm just chilling. Chilling like a villain. Do you think 30 seconds of bloater for HBO in an entire season was a disgrace for the game? How would you rectify that? Well, I think it's a disgrace, and rectifying that would have absolutely had, some awesome bloater action. And I'm talking like you're in the bloater comes up. Forget, just let's get to the point. Bloater shows up. You have this like really rotted interior of a building, and the bloater's just ripping one of the soldiers apart. And Joel and Ellie go back and they're like, okay, shh. And then you follow Joel and Ellie through cracks of the like broken down building. Just picture wherever, but it's like really dilapidated. So they're going this way, trying to stay extremely quiet, and you can hear and feel the vibration in the base of the bloater as he just like breathes and disgustingly exists, with these sounds as the bloater starts maneuvering past them beyond the wall, and you see the shadows and the light, you hear the sounds. And then obviously you have some infected, maybe an infected jumps out, so they got to cut this way. Do that a little bit, but lead to one of them making a sound. The bloater turns around, hauls ass, and it's like a oh fuck moment. And then he's hauling ass for them. The bloater goes through one wall, goes to go through another wall. Maybe Joel moves like a fridge in the way, and the bloater slams into the fridge. The fridge slams into Joel, sending him flying. Ellie then ducks under a table. The bloater goes, smashes through the table. Ellie goes through a hole in the wall, and we're down ground looking up at the bloater from ground to ceiling, and the bloater comes through the wall at Ellie, and then you see Joel come out of nowhere fucking fighting with the bloater, and maybe even a couple other army guys had just peeked their head in to get Joel, and the bloater starts ripping one of their fucking heads off, and that's when Joel grabs Ellie and they go to get out of there, and he turns around and hands her the gun, and they both start bucking at the bloater, like do some fucking wild shit. And then but send it from there into a couple other rooms. Tell me if that shit wasn't on the show, you wouldn't bust a couple nuts. Even the females would have bust a few nuts. They would have been squirting. You would have had to fucking like get out the umbrellas. The shit would have been wild. It would have been wild. It would have been orgasmic. I mean, motherfuckers wouldn't have been able to contain themselves. Just trust and believe. And that's just the beginning to the middle of the fight. Imagine finishing it out with some fucking awesome shit. Anyway, do you think 30 seconds? Okay. What's Juliet's favorite horror entertainment now and why? Well, she was playing Dead by Daylight a lot, but I think she slowed down on that. And I think her favorite horror, I don't know if it's horror. She's reading the American Psycho. That's what I would pick. This kind of random question, but are you going to watch the new Planet of the Apes movie? Oh, hell yeah. Are you excited for Joker 2? I'm not at all. Sadly, it seems it's going to be a musical. Yeah, I'm not going to the theaters. Fuck that. Normally, I give everything a wait and see, but I'll wait unless I fucking hate musicals so goddamn much. To go from such a great movie to just like, hey guys, I'm gonna make a musical. It's like, oh, fuck off, man. So we'll see. You guys let me know if it's any good, and I'll rent it at Redbox. But I'm not giving them fucking movie theater money for a musical. You can kiss my ass hair. Fuck that. Anyway, you definitely see the progress of the spiral, even in appearance for the Joker, I guess. That's how I would view it, to be honest. I think Andrew Lincoln and Deny acting saved this episode. I agree. When Rick mentions the CRM taking Carl away, I thought it was incredibly corny, but his crying nearly made me cry. See, and that's part of what I feel like they had Carl in there just to tap into the Carl feels. And I also like the concept of Rick having unresolved issues when it comes to Carl, but the whole like even how it's worded, like it just didn't hit for me. You know what I mean? And it just didn't do it. But the acting is really well done. Some of the other stuff, the connection with the character, and overall, I think that's why I have mixed feelings for it. Because the nuggets don't work, but some of the other things still get that emotional response or some emotional response. Um, I love in Joker when he's shirtless with just a white face paint in the apartment and kills the dude. Yo, that part is great. I love when he can't reach the lock. Like that's great. Shoots a color criticize at the time. Good memories. Well, I'm glad you guys had fun. It's cool to look all of the different ones in the movies, especially the Blood Smile. Blood Smile was my favorite. If I can have some sort of statue, or I know they made like a 1/6 scale figure, but I just like at the time I just couldn't do it. But I want something. I don't know what, but I want something of the blood smile from the Joker on display. I don't know if it needs to be like a 1/6 scale figure. I think maybe it'd be better in like a statue, because then it's done in more detail than you don't have to worry about posing. It's just there. But I don't know. We'll see. Last of Us Part 2 remastered, worth it. I already played the original a lot. I would say if you haven't played it, I'm sorry, if you've already played The Last of Us Part 2 a lot, because you said the original. I'm assuming you mean the original Last of Us Part 2. Um, if you've already played it a lot, it's probably not worth it unless you want to play it again and you want to play the different modes. Then it is worth it. If you're not eager to play it this second, I would recommend getting it on clearance. I'll be real with you. Well, no, no, no. If you already have it, you could get it for $10, right? Still, maybe. I am not playing RoboCop. That got lost in the mail. I got refunded. I did not buy another one, and I did not buy Jedi Survivor because I thought, let me look and see what's coming out. And I saw Rise of the Ronin or something like that is a game that I have been waiting for a while. Now, I'll be honest, when I first saw it, I was super interested. Now I'm not sure because I think it's a little more a little more souls like than I anticipated. But right now I just don't know. But I would like to do something. I mean, a new game would be great. If I'm paying new game prices, something that I think it comes out this Friday. So we'll see. I still think I'm still leaning for RoboCop. It was kind of in the lead right now. For some reason, it's such a hard game to get. Like right in this very moment, I bought it on Amazon. It got lost in the mail. I went to multiple WalMarts, Targets, Best Buy, GameStop, all sold out. And I'm talking like 10 different stores. It's just weird. I'll get it though, just not right this second. I'm glad Map is still going strong. Been watching vids more recently again. Missed this. Well, hopefully we got more stuff coming up this summer. Summer. Now that I'm getting a little more settled into my new hours. Damn, you're pretty good, dude. How come you're not a director writer? Well, I'm just gonna start. I'll be honest. Well, I often talk about these from the perspective of what would I like as a fan watching. What makes me when I'm watching this, what makes me interested, and the atmosphere. If it looks beautiful, I mean, your eyes are glued to it. if it has that pacing and that tension and the sound, and if you can get, capture all that. So that's the only reason I'm coming at. And I feel like you might not always agree with me because we all have different tastes. But if I'm tapping in and I understand what makes me interested in a shot composition, what makes me interested in the dialogue, what makes me interested in, the realism and the ultra realism, yada, yada, yada. I know there's a lot of others out there that are interested in the same stuff. So I know I'm looking into doing some shorts and some other stuff, maybe at the end of this year into next year. So hopefully we can do some things that'll be interesting as well. And it'll come from that type of, you know, creative foundation, but we'll see. But thank you very much. Will you do a Flaw vs. All in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes? If you guys vote for it when we get going, yes. But in a little bit, you all will be in control of what I do for Flaw vs. All. Voting for Patreon and voting on the community feed. I've dodged everything about Joker 2. It's going to be a musical. What the fuck are they thinking? Yeah, that's what I said. But apparently it's 100% a musical. Not every second of it, but it will have musical, every 10 minutes they sing a number. I've dodged random, but how do you view vinyl for audio compared to VHS and visual? Random, how do you view vinyl for audio compared to, do you mean vinyl like, because vinyl is music, which that it's just a different sound for music than it is for movies. But I think vinyl sounds great for music. There's just a real crisp to it that vinyl has that is just nice. Um, but when you're talking about VHS, wait, am I missing something? I don't understand why you're comparing vinyl to VHS. I just don't get it because one's music and the sound is part of that authenticity. For VHS, the sound is connected to speakers and they could be trash. You know what I'm saying? Even putting on headphones, it's connected to your headphones. That's just a weird comparison. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I would say that VHS sucks, period. It's only good because I'm old as shit and it's nostalgic for me. That's it. Fucking done. But as someone that loves movies and TV, VHS is trash. It's dated. I love the sound of it. I love and I miss going to video rental stores. I hear the shake of a tape and it reminds me of pizza and soda and beer and chips and a good time with either friends or family, or what I'm saying, like shaking a VHS reminds me of a good night, hanging out watching movies with either friends, either family, girlfriends. Like you did that with so many different people, parties, groups of parties, anyhow. But actually watching a movie with VHS, it's fucking terrible. Are we seeing Judith seeing Rick in the finale episode or next season? I would like to just close it out this season. I've watched Bone Tomahawk twice recently because of you, brother. Hell yeah. Bone Tomahawk is awesome. I miss Blockbuster. All right, last one. We really got to close this out. Let me shut down the poll, though. Deadpool says, has there ever been a better time for writers to explode onto the scene? I think now is the greatest time. What's your opinion on the current state of movies and TV? I think the current state of movies and TV need an injection of independent, creative talent. Let me just put it that way. And we need it now more than ever. Right now, we are getting an extremely stale tidal wave of movies and TV. And one of the worst parts is this new push for activism in our movies and TV. And they're trying to camouflage it as like, oh, we're just making sure everyone has a seat at the table. But that's not actually what they're doing. They're doing this thing where it's like, if you have a character and you cast a white guy, his girlfriend has to be mixed at all times. So when you start doing things like that, now you're starting to limit your options and the story you're telling. It doesn't make sense. Like for example, now Rick and Michonne, that's old. I'm sure they did it at the time to fit in with the times, but That's old. But like The Crow, you got The Crow, a perfect example. So the girlfriend is not going to be a white chick. You know damn well. I was watching that Dark Harvest, and this is I'm getting making a point, but you watch Dark Harvest, and as soon as I seen is a white kid that we're following, I know for a fact he's gonna have a black girlfriend. This takes place in the '60s, and that means something because sure enough, he runs in, and he got an eye for the black chick working at the movie theater, which is cool because one of my all time favorite movies is A Bronx Tale, and it's a story about a young Italian kid in a racist culture, not the Italian culture, but the neighborhood in New York back in there in the '60s, and he catches the eye or his eyes. Well, actually, they both catch each other's eyes, but he catches interest for a black chick. But it's a very real feeling, organic, a great tale of a love story between a father figure, and between coming of age young love. I mean, it's a love story all around, but there's so much more. But A Bronx Tale is done, and it feels authentic from the point of view of people who lived it. It doesn't feel like a bunch of nerds in a room were like, oh, okay, you did this, so you have to do this. And that's what some of this other content feels like. It doesn't feel like they want to tell an organic story with these organic, diverse characters. It feels like they check boxes, they jammed it in, and that's as good as it gets. Now, it doesn't that's just a tiny sliver of how that starts affecting the whole process. And I think now more than ever, we need indies to come in while the big players are doing their bullshit. And the indies can just go back to the days of popcorn flicks where it's just about telling the great stories. Get them out there, get them to catch on, and then you can't do shit about them as long as you keep it indie. Like Terrifier. Terrifier does not have to cut out the gore and make it PG-13 because it's now absorbed by the machine. It can be as gory as it wants because it's supported by the fans. Anyhow, that's my view of it. Do you think AP will say goodnight at least 31 times? No, because I'm about to shut this off. So we're shutting the poll down now. We did get some more votes. I think simplicity is key nowadays. Strictly storytelling. The story should be and always should have been king. And when it comes to diversity is great, but when it's organic, we call it variety. And it means the same thing. And it is the same thing. Because instead of having characters, let's say you're making a story and you're going to make, okay, you know what, we're going to make every single character a square box. That's it. There's only a limited amount of interest in the story, the flow, the things you could do with the story. There's a limited amount of interest, and this doesn't work for every movie. Like if you want to do Vikings and do a certain historic and it has to match, it's going to look really weird if you start switching it up and do something that doesn't fit. Like you have a bunch of British guys and they're, being Vikings and doing, if it just doesn't fit, you're going to get that vibe and it's going to be corny as shit. But if you got a square box and a circle box and a rectangle box and then like a triangle box, a little fucking pyramid motherfucker, now you got variety and there's a lot more interest that comes with it. And that's like a really boiled down simplistic view, but I absolutely believe in that. There's variety, has a spice that makes it interesting, and with that comes organic diversity. We don't need them to come in and say like, okay, you need to do this and this and this and this, because they just get in the fucking way. And we know that for a fact because we see it constantly. Anyhow, okay, 52% loved it, 27% liked it, and that's gonna drop it down a little bit to 79%. I think it was, what was it, 82 before? So 79% positive, almost 80 positive. And then we only have 18%. So let's say, for the sake of argument, 80% positive, 20% not feeling it. That's still 8 out of 10. That's still a high mark of the fan base that enjoyed it. And I'm happy for the fans that found as much as they could to enjoy out of it. To end it on a sour note, someone came in and did not like it. Episode was boring. Did we really need a whole episode of convincing Rick to go home to his fucking kids? Having a son should have been enough. Yeah, and and that I think is part of the problem where they always want it deeper. We need to have these deeper this and a deeper that. And you know what? You can go deeper with it, but I just wish it was a little more organic. We have the threat. We have the inevitable threat. You got a double header of threats. We don't need this extra. What did they take from you, Rick? And that's such an odd way to phrase it. What do you mean? What did they take from? Oh, because we want him to say Carl again. It's not like, God damn, what did they do to you, Rick? Because that makes more sense. They changed you. What the fuck did they do to you? You are not the Rick I know. That's not what she says. She says, what did they take from you? Because they want him to say Carl. And that's what I mean by that clunk, that little bit of clunk is sometimes you just got to let it go and be like, you know what? I really want him to say Carl, but Michonne asking, what did they take from you? It sounds clunky and awkward. So let's figure this out a different way. But anyhow, I'm glad that the most of you guys enjoyed it and you came here and gave your thoughts. Slizzle says, you know me, brother, I hate forced inclusion, but Rick and Michonne is organic in my opinion. Well, that's why I let them out, because we're not, even though this, visually might represent what we're talking about, it's not the same as what we're talking about. It was in the past. I do believe, like I said before, I do believe that there was a couple people in a boardroom, probably 3 white chicks that were sitting around being like, hey, and I say that because of the 3 in charge. I forget their names, but Gail and Denise and whatever. They're probably like, oh yeah, we need to, give ourselves a pat on the back and make this power interracial couple. But they were so close as best friends already that it was already there. So it doesn't really matter, But this one wasn't, even though visually it lines up with what we were discussing. I don't count this. I'm a 4%er tonight, but lifer for the franchise won't miss. That's what's up. Also, how they found the helicopter convenient, finding the truck convenient. The truck was convenient. I don't think I know what you mean about that. Oh, and you meant how the CRM found the helicopter. I assume they had a tracker on it. Or at least tracked its known location and got close and found it visually, by seeing it. They knew the route they were taking to some degree, but I see the truck. Yeah, it's convenient. I get it. Everyone bashed me for saying the episode was mid on Insta. Whoever calls this a masterpiece respectfully needs to watch more shows. I love The Walking Dead, but it ain't a masterpiece or an episode. Well, the only problem with social media now is the people left over are the ones that, for the most part, especially like Instagram and Reddit, they're terrible. Sometimes X and Facebook, all of social media, they're like the leftover. You better get with the program, say the things that's acceptable, or you're just gonna get shit on, by a handful of them. They're, it's not even worth it. I think they mean the apocalypse took Carl. Spit. You want me to spit? Now, how do Rick and Michonne found crashed helicopter? No, how Rick and Michonne found crashed helicopter. Oh, I see what you mean. How they, yeah. I mean, didn't they just look up, out the window? I get what you're saying now, yeah. Later, bro. Can't wait to watch the next live stream. Good night. Ryan's screen back there. Do you play Dead by Daylight? No, I don't play Dead by Daylight. I played it a little bit, but it's just not my cup of tea. I'm not a big fan of running around doing the generators, That's what I would have gave it. I gave it about a 7 out of 10. You see Scream back there. Big fan of Ghostface. All right, yeah, I think Scream actually, the first one, that's probably one of my all-time favorite slashers. I was thinking about this because I grew up on, obviously, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger. A lot of us did. Let me put it that way. But Scream was different because not only Was it something that I grew up with, but in my time? Because Jason Voorhees, that's before my time. I was I wasn't even alive when it started. Um, but then I was a baby when it was going, and then I was a kid when it was ending. So even though I grew up with it, Scream was like I was 13. Scream came out. I went to the movies with my friends, and it was fucking awesome. And I didn't think about this until like 20 years later, but um, I just love that movie. And when I did a deep dive review, I grew to respect the movie because it's really well done for what it is, especially. It is fucking awesome. But now, so I look back as it's nostalgic. It came out right, and I was that age to like experience it. And it holds up. In if you look at how it's written and broke down and everything, the double killer reveal. There's so much to Scream. I constantly say I feel like it's underrated. People talk about it, but they just don't give it the props it deserves. Scream is a fucking beast. Anyhow, um, how did Rick and Michonne survive jumping out of a helicopter? Well, in real life, it would be like they hit cement, but because it's a TV show that thinks we're all idiots, they just uh, use their legs to. No, they fell face first. They just use their skulls to breach the surface tension of the water, creating this weird effect that allows them to slip in like slippery dick through butter. I don't know. I think the mystery person is Morgan. I hope not. Well, I mean, I like Morgan. Let's. I kind of wanted it to be a little threat, like a little. Let's add like a scary element to it, but we'll see. Did you see the trailer? A mysterious person is stalking Rick and Michonne. I think it's Silas from World Beyond. Oh, please, God, no! Don't be Silas. Oh no. See, Joe, the next episode sounds like they're going back to CRM. Michonne says we're not going home. Yeah. Oh, that's one thing that I thought was dumb as fuck. Um, Michonne speaking as if she's talking to the audience. Like we expect Rick and Michonne to be going home, right? The trailer's them. They're in the woods. They're not going back to CRM. And I'm saying like that's what we're expecting. And then Michonne is like, you know what? We're not going home. And it's like, what are we doing, man? What are we doing? Anyhow, uh, yeah, Scream is the most consistent horror franchise. I do want to talk about Scream one day in depth. I already did Scream 1. I'm very proud of that video. It's on the Flawverse YouTube channel. Go check it out. My Scream video, extremely proud of that. I'm going to follow up later in the year with Scream, hopefully 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But 4, I grew an incredible amount of respect for actually starting to do like the script for the Flawverse Saw. 3, I have a lot of problems with. I'll tell you that right now. But I have a lot of problems with it. But anyhow, all right, I got to get going. Put your thoughts and opinions down in the comment box and stay tuned for next Sunday. We're going to talk about episode 5. It's the second to last. I hope it's a blast. Whatever. I hope Rick and Michonne are here to last. Well, no, I said last, blast, last. I'm an ass.